Hey guys, today we're going to do something slightly different. This is an interview with the co-founder and CEO of a social network startup called Efuse.gg, which is a social network for gamers. A lot of you guys know I talk a lot about the Browns, but I also have a passion for gaming and also a little bit of a gaming brand out there with inclan.gg, which you can also follow on YouTube and Twitch. And I wanted to bring in Matthew because they are a Ohio-based startup in the Columbus area. A lot of them are Browns fans, including Matthew. We talk about that a little bit, but also just digging into what it is to get noticed in the content creation in the gaming world, which can be hyper-saturated from time to time. Giving you some tips on what he's seeing in the industry, what he's seeing people and how they're growing their audience, and what you can do with Efuse to help do that. So without further ado, here's the interview. Hope you guys like it. Give us a thumbs up if you do, and also leave me a comment in the comment section with your thoughts and what game you're playing today. We'll talk soon. Hey everybody, we have a special guest today on the Brownie Postgame YouTube channel. I am joined by 23-year-old founder and CEO of a website called efuse.gg, Matthew Benson. Matthew, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate you having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Hey, so can I do the pitch for Efuse real quick?
Go for it.
Okay,
let's hear it.
I'm a big fan of the site. I've been I wouldn't say founding user, but as soon as I saw that Browns players were somehow connected with this, I was like, I got to get involved. So Efuse is a social network that I would consider like by gamers and specifically designed for gamers. A community of people who are looking for opportunities within gaming or eSports, maybe to build their personal brand, build their own audience, get noticed by eSports organizations, by universities for things like scholarships, and just in general, a place to meet and network with other people of similar interests. Would that be a fair way to say it?
That is spot on. You crushed it, sir.
Okay, good. So I look at Efuse as almost like the short version of that is probably like the LinkedIn of gaming, right? And I think that I noticed it instantly when I saw it. I got it. I was like, oh, I totally understand what this is. This is a social channel for people, which is one of the toughest things, getting noticed in gaming. Whether you're a content creator or somebody who's aspiring to be a pro gamer and to be on an organization, it's really hard to get noticed. And for Efuse, like they have this for basketball and football and stuff like that for kids in high school, but they don't really have anything for esports and gaming. And me as a parent of 3 kids who are all, well, 2 of them so far deeply into gaming, I'm sure the third will be when she gets there. I think every major university at some point in the next 5 to 10 years is going to be offering scholarships for esports and or content creation, and a lot of them already have. Is that a trend that you've also noticed as well?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And one of the things that is really interesting about Efuse is when people sign up, we ask them a few questions, and one of those questions is, why are you joining the site? And the biggest motivation by far amongst hundreds of thousands of gamers is, I want to be discovered. And discovery comes in a lot of forms, right? It could be from a content creator's perspective. It could be playing pro. For most people, it's going to be potentially going and playing at the collegiate level. But beyond that, getting a job in the industry or finding a way in to kind of take that passion and turn to profession, right? But that's where we really pride ourselves, is creating that pipeline of talent where you've got all these aspiring gamers, all these aspiring business professionals in the gaming industry, and helping to connect them to opportunities like scholarships, jobs, internships, et cetera. And when we first founded Efuse, the niche that we really went after was the angle of high school to collegiate. So with all of these new collegiate organizations, when we first started, there was 120 schools that had some level of varsity esports program. That's now over 300 within 2 years. So if that doesn't tell you anything, it should tell you at least one thing, and that is that it's going to happen, and the collegiate esports is growing. But as a result, more and more people are watching. There's going to be more and more people wanting to be a part of that, and that's going to ultimately drive the opportunity for scholarship dollars, for varsity teams, for sponsorships. And I think it's just the beginning of collegiate esports.
That's awesome. And you guys are Columbus based, am I correct with that?
Columbus based, right in the short north.
There you go. Is the most of the founding the team from Ohio State? Are they Ohio State grads mostly?
Yeah, so we have a couple Ohio State grads. Some of our team, I went to Athens down at OU. Not as good as football, but still have football. A lot more drinking down there. That's the sport down there.
That's the only thing that matters anyway.
Fact. But a lot of our team is from Ohio, born and raised. So we've got Southern Ohio, myself, my chief strategy officer, my co-founder, Austin May. We've got some people from up north. But we're all pretty much from Ohio. Love the Buckeyes, love the Browns. Some of us love the Bengals. So it's all around.
Bengals fans, my God.
We don't let them get on podcasts very often. We keep them in the corner.
I wouldn't have them on. I wouldn't have them on this show. Not in a million years. But so are you personally, I would assume, are a Browns fan?
I'm a Browns fan.
Okay. I actually knew the answer to that beforehand, but I wanted you to say it. What are you giving me?
People didn't accuse me.
Yeah. Give me your thoughts on the season. Like, what are you thinking so far? Or how we're doing?
I think we're doing pretty good, right? I mean, Odell was a big loss. It's kind of tragic that I never felt like him and Baker really got the chemistry down. I'm hoping that we get an opportunity to see that at some point. I'm a little doubtful, but as a whole, I've been pleasantly surprised with the season. We've had and have been fortunate to build relationships with a lot of the Browns players. And one thing that I really appreciated about them is, aside from just great athletes, like they're good people at the end of the day too. So, and I think you see that in the team and some of the fight that they have. So far so good. Still some work to do, but I think they're looking pretty strong.
Yeah, I would agree. I think as my kind of niche has kind of grown, and as a content creator myself, and obviously like my two passions in life are gaming and the Browns, outside of like family and work and all that kind of jazz. But these are the two things. So when I saw, I think I saw Jedrick Wills playing in one of the pro-ams, that's why I was like, wait, what is this? What is this new site that just came out of nowhere that's getting NFL players like Ezekiel Elliott and these guys to play in these things? I was like, I got to check this out. And I just thought it was amazing. So that's how I got to see it. And I think more and more as you guys continue to do that, and I think isn't Braxton Miller like one of the guys connected to the site in some way?
Yeah, so most people don't know this, but we have a lot of athletes connected. So Braxton's obviously involved. Braxton was the first athlete that had been involved. And then Denzel Ward became an investor. We've had Seth Curry, Chase Winovich, Zeke Elliott, Jedrick Wills, kind of you name it, that are some way involved. Some investors, some just participate in the tournaments, and some just are affiliated with the brand. But I think that's a testament to the majority of these athletes are, when they're not playing football, basketball, soccer, they're going home and they're playing video games. Like that's their second love. That's their second passion. And so to be able to provide them an opportunity to get further into the industry has been a lot of fun. And it's been great for us as an organization.
So talk to me a little bit about like where we start seeing this new intersect with celebrities and athletes. Cause this is what I'm starting to notice now. You got guys like Odell Beckham, who's, obviously, an athlete, but also like he's the celebrity athlete. He's like, he's a household. Like my mom knew who Odell Beckham was before he got on the Browns. But he's playing with guys like Dr. Disrespect and Swag and Scump and Nade Shot and stuff like that. And just all of a sudden and by the way, he can play. Like he's not a bad player. Yeah, he's not a bad player. But are you starting to notice more and more of these guys that not only are they looking at it as a hobby, like going home after the game, but also maybe even something that could be giving them opportunities after they're done playing, right? Because they're celebrity, because they can build an audience like that. Is that something that is a draw for these guys too?
100%. I think that it's twofold, right? So one is they're helping the industry in many ways because they're bringing the traditional sports fan and just the person who's following the celebrity into the gaming sphere. They're saying, hey, this is something I care about. This probably isn't as weird as you've heard. This is a lot more normal than you might think. Mm-hmm. And that's helping the industry as a whole. So from that front, they're doing the industry a favor. On the flip end of the spectrum, though, they're definitely going to get their bang for their buck from an audience perspective and the cash that's starting to come in. Brands are recognizing esports and gaming more broadly as a viable option where they're actually getting some really intimate connection with the fan base. And that's one of the biggest takeaways I had. Actually, Seth Curry said this to me probably 2-3 months ago now. He's like, I can have a lot of people follow me on Twitter and I'm getting a lot of engagements there. I'm getting tens of thousands of people like my posts, but there's no place in the world that I can go and be sitting in my home and have an intimate connection with a fan like me streaming on Twitch, where I can engage with my chat. They can ask me questions about my day. I can directly within 30 seconds respond to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's just such a more intimate experience. And I think that athletes enjoy that, fans enjoy that, and it's going to become a bigger and bigger part of the industry and just their lives too.
How are you starting to notice things on the various places where people can stream? So you've got Twitch out there, who's the granddaddy, and kind of as it evolved from Justin TV and all this stuff into Twitch and where we are today, and then YouTube saw it and they started getting involved. Microsoft tried with Mixer, and now Facebook is trying to build it up. Like how is it? Like how does eFuse look at it? And are there relationships that you have with those type of platforms? And is it tough to decide well, do we want to give a little bit more love to these guys or this guy or this? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So from our perspective, we like to say we're Switzerland. We're agnostic, and in the sense that we're friends with everybody. We just want our whole thing is we want to build the industry up. And no matter if you're a streamer on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Facebook, whatever it is, come and be a part of eFuse, because we're trying to showcase the entire community, not just one sector of it. From an understanding of them, though, I think it's really interesting that specifically Twitch and Facebook, they are competitors. You can't deny that fact. But at the end of the day, they're not thinking about it as much as people may think they are, in the sense that YouTube is dominating sort of the personality-driven streaming, where you've got the big characters like a Dr. Disrespect or Courage or a Valkyrie that are going on there. And they're not bad gamers, but at the end of the day, they're also personalities. Twitch definitely has an aspect of that too, but I would say they're doing a much more better job on the competitive side of things and the eSports side of things. So it's different, right? And I think that they each have their place in the world. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think Facebook's got an uphill battle for sure. But if anybody's going to do it, it's probably going to be Facebook. So we're agnostic and we're open to all of them, but I think they each have a role to play for sure.
So one of the questions that I get from people quite a bit is just about how to build a presence and how to do anything, like whether you're trying to get noticed on Twitch or YouTube or Twitter or anywhere, where it just seems like it's so saturated right now. And how does a young gamer, how does somebody who's looking to get noticed, what would some advice you give to somebody who's just signs up for eFuse? Okay, this seems like a place. There's some people out there that are into the same thing I'm into, and I want to learn, I want to get better. But if you could talk to that player and say, hey, this is my advice, or this is what I would say, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think the way I view it in many ways is how I also view just a business relationship or business and professional growth more broadly. And that is find mentors. What's really interesting to me in this industry is if you're able to get connected to one or two bigger streamers or somebody even in the mid-tier range, they're oftentimes willing to sort of reach down and help pull you up, not only from an exposure standpoint, but just the lessons learned. This is a really kind industry in many ways. There's also some toxicity, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of kind people that are willing to help the next generation. And we have, as an industry, the mindset of rising tides raise all ships. So my suggestion would be build your network up, find mentors, and try to play with them. Try to get their coaching, try to get their feedback. You don't always need to get them to do something for you day one. More so, just seek to understand and seek to get better from their advice. Beyond that, I think it's consistency. I think a lot of people don't show up every single day. Half the battle is just showing up, putting in the effort, and being there on stream, being there performing. So if I had to give two pieces of advice, it'd probably be that: consistency and build a network of mentors and just friends in the industry.
What kind of tools and what kind of differentiators is somebody going to get by creating a profile on eFuse and really building that out and putting a lot of effort into that? What type of things are there on eFuse for that young gamer who's looking to grow and network?
Yeah, so a couple of things so where we are today, I'll talk about that. So where we are today, the biggest value add that eFuse offers is we have a lot of different types of opportunities on there. So we have scholarships, we got jobs, tournaments, et cetera, right? As time goes on, and what you'll be seeing over the next month or so is we've been building a lot of tool sets that basically empower the gamer and the aspiring individual in the industry to do their jobs better. So if you're on the recruiting side, we've built something called the pipeline, where it's going to give you exposure to everybody in our ecosystem and say, hey, these are the top 100 Call of Duty players. Here's all their contact information. Here's where they live. As an amateur org, you're going to be able to go and scout them. From the gamer coming into the industry, maybe you want to be a content creator. We built something called creator tools. So you're going to be able to schedule and automate your posts to go out on all kinds of different platforms. So for example, you create a post saying, hey, send this to Twitch or to Twitter, Discord, and Efuse when I go live. So when I go live, it says, hey, everybody, come see me. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to think about it. It just kind of automates a lot of that process. We've got other tools, right, of opportunity creation and making content more easily able to be pulled in and edited directly within the app. So long story short, we're trying to make content creators, gamers, their lives easier, provide additional opportunities, and provide them tools that make it easier to do their jobs more efficiently.
How about that relationship with the universities? Are universities tapping in as well and signing up? And are they looking for this as a recruiting tool, both from the data end of it, but also just from the pure network end of it?
Absolutely, and there's a couple of things that we'll be launching too. So Pipeline, I just mentioned a little bit. You're going to have amateur orgs that have that capability, but where this originated was actually with collegiate organizations. So we have this thing called ECAB, which is essentially the Efuse Collegiate Advisory Board, and they basically told us, hey, this is how I want to recruit, and we built this platform for them. But we have, I would say, 60 plus schools that are going to be recruiting from the platform directly, and having that direct access is going to be really interesting. And that's something you see, as you mentioned, in traditional sports, but it hasn't made its way to gaming. This is the first step from our perspective in helping gamers have direct access to collegiate organizations. Aside from that, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, are they looking for both like people to play on the collegiate team, like in a traditional sport like football or basketball, to play on the team, or are they also looking for other skills like people to work in the production side of it, or maybe just content creators, like people that are those personalities who game versus the ones who are going to try to play and compete?
Yeah, it's both. It's definitely both. I would say it probably leans more towards the competitive aspect. That's what they've been able to sell to their own institutions and organizations is hey, this makes sense to them. We're going to make a varsity team, but for this game. It's very similar to basketball, right? The content creator side's a little harder upsell, so we've seen less universities be able to get that through the door quite yet, but I do think it's coming. So I would say if you had to look at it, 80% of the recruitment that's happening is coming from what I would call the competitive eSports side, and then 20% of it's coming from the content creator side. But one thing that we're building as a tangent is think of like Tinder for gamer matchmaking. So how do you find people you want to play with or people you want to stream with? It's called talent cards. So you'll be able to swipe for people that have certain followings, play certain games, and ultimately just build a network of people really easily and in a fun way. So that's coming too.
Wow, that's amazing. That's well, you had me at Tinder. But I think that's awesome, and that's innovative, and I think that that's one of the things that I saw early on at Efuse. I was like, I think this has got the potential. I was reading the articles, and I was like, all right, like these guys have something that seems like it's a service that's needed, obviously, because it's difficult. It's difficult to get noticed in general in life, and I think you're right with that with your advice about networking. That's one of the ways I was able to grow this channel up, is network with other people who are admittedly better at doing this than I do. But we all have a similar interest, and we all are content creators, and we all have similar gripes about, when YouTube does something stupid and we have to like deal with it. And also it's just really interesting. And that's kind of one of my pieces of advice for everybody too, is network, and don't ever be afraid to reach out to people, because the worst thing they can do is ignore you or say no. But the best thing is you could build a relationship, and that could spawn into a billion other things. And another thing I thought that was really interesting about what you just said is, again, everybody's looking to be different. Everybody's looking for, like, how do I stand out in the crowd? You were just mentioning it's about the competitive thing right now. But the people that are out there, if you're not on a team or you don't want to be competitive, like that next thing that's going to come is that content creator. Right. If you look at guys like MKBHD, who is, the school he went to was loving the fact that he's mentioning that, or even older than that, like, I'll date myself a little bit, but even like the Day 9 dailies back when he was at Harvey Mudd. I mean, I didn't even know what Harvey Mudd was until Day 9 was talking about it. I was like, I thought it was like some weird rock band or something, but it's absolutely one of the best schools in the country. I'm an East Coast guy, so I don't know about that California stuff. But if you want to stand out, you got to stand out. You got to do something different. You got to network, all that kind of stuff. How about the gaming companies themselves? So like the Activision Blizzards of the world, or the Epic Games, or EA, are they talking to you guys too? Are they trying to get access to the players, the influencers, the up and comers, and are they leveraging a site like eFuse to try to find those?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate that we've been able to work with a lot of those publishers in the last couple of months, and it started with some of our events where those athletes are playing. And so every time we put one of those big ones on, we've got to get written approval that it's okay to do at a certain threshold of prize pool. So in doing that, we've built a really great relationship with Activision, with Riot, with Psyonix, with Epic, right? And that's now resulted in additional collaboration. So I won't speak too much on it now, but we've got some really cool stuff coming down the pipe with them, and it's super exciting. But I think one thing that's interesting and to really think about as you're getting into the industry, or anybody that's just thinking about it, is with these game publishers being such a big part of it, it's almost, to use the traditional sports analogy, it's almost like they own basketball. You can't play basketball unless you get approval from the publisher. So that's one interesting wrinkle that you have to acknowledge when you're getting into this. It's not like you can just go play pickup. You've got to do it on the terms of Riot or of Activision. So it's just a known risk or known thing you have to have coming into the industry.
What since you launched eFuse and still on Series A funding?
We are.
Okay. So what have you learned from taking the concept to pitching it to funding and to where you are today? Like what's some of the things that I'm sure it's been a ton, but like maybe give me one or two things that like you learned or you didn't expect, or something that happened and you're like, oh my gosh, like what is this?
Well, I learn so much every single day. It would be hard to pick a few things, but I'll try here. So one is I think like understanding that startup life in general, there's a lot of highs and there are a lot of lows, and they're the highest highs and they're the lowest lows, but you've got to be willing to just show up. Going back to consistency, there's going to be days you just feel like you're getting punched in the mouth repeatedly, but you've just got to keep showing up, and eventually the tides turn and you stack small wins and it comes together. So stay the course. Most people give up when it hurts, but if you're willing to go through the valleys, you're eventually going to make your way back up to the peaks. So we still get valleys every single day. We still get peaks every single day, but just riding through that wave. The other thing is, for me personally, is starting out is like, how do you recognizing your skills, but also more importantly, recognizing your weaknesses and understanding that you can't build something to the level we want to build it alone. I could not do it by myself. First of all, I have no engineering capability, so we got to get smarter people to come in and help with that. But aside from that, just building the relationships, building the brand, it just takes a lot of really great people, elite people, and we've been fortunate to find those. But if you're starting a venture, if you want to build a team, if you want to get started in the industry, like surround yourself with elite people, and those elite people can do some really incredible things together. And again, using the analogy, rising tides raise all ships.
That's great advice. I mean, and I was just relating that to everything you were just saying about the startup and the success that you guys are having right now. I mean, it really goes to show also in the content creating world, like you said, it's about putting the videos out. It's about getting up and streaming every day. Even if you're sitting there and you got nobody watching you other than like the 2 or 3 Twitch bots that are just sitting there to make sure that you're not view botting or whatever, just do it for yourself. Because the more you do it, you're going to get better at it. You might get lucky. You might get rated by somebody every once in a while. I want to give a shout out to two people. One, there's a 17-year-old kid from India, Adrian Malhers. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but this is a kid that I met through eFuse, and don't get weird that he's 17 or anything like that. It's not anything weird like that. Yeah. But I noticed that he was really passionate about gaming, and he asked me a couple questions. I gave him a little bit of advice, and I became friends with this kid. And I think that, I mean, for a platform, I've seen it already. For a platform like eFuse, if you have a passion, and even if you don't have expensive tools and big gaming rigs and stuff like that, you can do it and build relationships and network with people. And Adrian's a really great he's a success story. at least for I can see so far on your platform. I want to give a kid a shout out because I think the world of this kid. And I think he's gonna be one of those guys to be like, I know him. Like I'm gonna tell other people that I know him. And one other guy is this guy Cleveland Cam, who's a Warzone player. He's an upcoming guy. He got rated by Nick Merckx and got kind of put him on the map. And I'm pulling him over into eFuse. So I'm getting him on board there and stuff like that. So two guys who are up and coming content creators, streamers, people in the network, whatever. But it can happen. It can happen on eFuse. And for everybody out there who's looking for something like this, because I know I was for a while, this is the place where you can go to do it. So sign up on eFuse. I'm going to put my referral link in the description. So use that. I don't get paid or anything from it, but it helps me. It helps show eFuse that I'm driving traffic here. Yeah.
Coming soon.
Well, awesome. Okay. Well, maybe I'll hold off on that. I want to send the traffic over. I love it. I love the site. Matthew, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. The words of wisdom. I think the world of eFuse. I think you guys got a bright future, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me. This was awesome. Go Browns.
Go Browns. Let's do it.
Here we go, Brownies!